Hi, my name is Gabrielle, and thank you for clicking on today's video. In a previous video, I talked about the porn industry in America and how easily accessible it is. Now, if you're struggling with this sin or lust in general, and you acknowledge that you have a problem and you want to win the fight against this thing, but maybe you aren't even aware of the destruction that this is causing in your life, then you are in the right place because today I'm going to bring the dark side of porn into light and expose what the devil is doing in thousands of minds across the world. I first want to say that if you are already a believer in Jesus and you've accepted him as your Lord and Savior, then you are the light. The battle has already been won, and you can win the fight against this thing. But you cannot do it in your own strength. You need God. I just realized I forgot my Bible, so I'm going to go get my Bible and I'll be right back. So if you have a Bible with you or even the Bible app and you'd like to read along with me, I am in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. It says, "No temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape that you will be able to bear it." So, what is porn doing to you? The very first thing that porn is doing to you is stealing your time and possibly your money. If you're subscribed to OnlyFans or any other website, then you are throwing your money towards this industry. What is super crazy is that most of the time porn is already accessible and free, but there's still a hunger for more. When you're making a purchase and subscribing to a model, you are expecting something almost as good as the real thing. But what you are really doing is making a fatal attempt to fulfill this fantasy that's in your mind, which leads me to the second thing this industry is doing to you, and it is ruining your intimacy. I'm not talking about the secret life that you've created behind closed doors in the comfort of your bedroom or wherever it is that you seek enjoyment. I'm talking about your real life, the real person that you're going to have an actual future with. You've become tied to this false expectation of what you expect the real thing to be like. So when you do find your person, or maybe you've even found your person, you're going to be left feeling unsatisfied and still wanting more. That's why couples who seem healthy and happy but have this problem still reach for it, because they've squandered the ability to experience that true love connection and are sadly blinded by this lustful fantasy that they've created. Now, if you're a Christian couple who's just dating but you're dating for marriage and one of you watches porn, you shouldn't be in a relationship. If you're fulfilling the sexual fantasy desire, how are you supposed to lead as a husband or a wife? If you're watching this video and you have that problem and you're in this situation, get some help. I know you might feel too ashamed and embarrassed to bring it up to somebody, but you need to. And you need to separate yourself from him or her until you fix yourself and heal from this thing. Because if you try to be in a relationship when you're not fully healed, you're only going to continue to hurt the other person. This next one doesn't just apply to porn, but the third thing that this industry is doing to you is killing your desire to know God. Whenever you're struggling with any kind of sin, it takes you away from God. That desire you once had to get to know him and spend time with him, you start to crave that less and less. You start to pray less, you start to attend church less, your friendships around you start to crumble. You start to come up with more and more excuses of why you couldn't spend time with God or why you couldn't call your friend back. You start to cover yourself in shame and guilt to the point where you feel like you can't even face the day. When you continue to feed your flesh, it's just going to want more. It's never going to be satisfied. You can feed yourself and become the size of a freaking house, but it'll never be full. It'll always want more. Not only does it harm you physically, but it harms your brain as well. And that brings me to the fourth thing that porn is doing to you, is it is having negative effects on your brain. What you're seeing in these films or on these screens is not reality. And it's not even normal. Watching somebody else on a screen have sex or touching themselves, watching a man slam into a woman on a screen while you touch yourself, like that's not normal. I don't know how this ever became a normal thing. I think just because the heart of man is wicked, who can know it? But I don't think our brains were ever supposed to internalize this fantasy. Our brains don't know how to process it, especially when exposed to it at a very young age. When you're young and you're exposed to something so graphic, It piques an interest in you. And that's why kids who are exposed to it, they crave a desire for it. They can't even comprehend what they're watching or what's happening. They just know it's different and they want more of it. I found an article about 2 German scientists who analyzed 64 healthy men, and what they found is that the subjects who spent hours watching porn had less gray matter in a particular of brain, the right striatum, an area key in the processing of rewards. They also discovered that habitual porn users demonstrated less brain activity in the left striatum when these individuals were shown pornographic images. So does watching porn actually shrink your brain? We don't really know. However, these scientists who did this study believe that watching porn can cause one's gray matter to diminish. But whether it is true or not, it's just not good for the brain. Thinking about it practically, it hijacks your dopamine, it takes you out of the present moment, it makes doing things that maybe were once enjoyable, like going for a walk, playing guitar, listening to music, going outside and sniffing the roses. Simple tasks or hobbies that maybe you once enjoyed doing, you just don't enjoy anymore, or don't enjoy as much because you're so numb and so disconnected from reality. Have I ever had a porn addiction myself? No, I'm proud and happy to say that I haven't. I've always found it disturbing, if I'm being honest. When I speak about this stuff, I'm just envisioning and imagining what happens, because I know for a fact that watching porn and touching yourself, it leads to no good. It steals your time, your joy, your peace, and everything else that I've mentioned in this video. It really is soul-crushing when you think about it, because it's stealing what God is trying to do in your spirit. And that's part of the reason why I'm making this video, because I know it's a problem. I know people are being deeply affected by it. And if you're watching this video and you're not a Christian, or you don't believe in God or want anything to do with God or whatever, give him a chance. Yeah, you can go to therapy and you can join a small group and you can do what you can to get free from porn addiction. But with God, he says, "For my yoke is easy, my burden is light." I would be nothing without God. And I know there are so many people out there who can say the same thing. And if you need to hear it from somebody else, just type on YouTube, "Was addicted to porn. Here's my testimony," or something along those lines. Because God does open up the eyes of the blind, literally and spiritually. I found another article that states watching porn could be linked to erectile dysfunction and other sexual dysfunctions. I've linked it down below if you want to look further into this. Again, whether you're able to prove that or not prove it, the harmful effects that this has on your brain and your body are just not good. And it's just another reason why we should avoid this industry altogether. The reason why I say you need God is because I know God heals. I know where Jesus is, there is freedom. He will not only free you from this addiction, but he will give you purpose and new life. It may not happen overnight. It takes you taking that step towards Jesus and asking him to help you, asking him to strengthen you and help you overcome this thing. I've heard people say that when you're not walking with God, or maybe you believe in God, but you're kind of skeptical about the whole gospel and you haven't committed to Jesus yet, he's standing at the door. He's just patiently waiting there. And that's the thing about God, is he's patient, he's loving, he's kind, and he's not going to force himself upon us. It's up to us to open that door and greet him. He's not going to be pounding on it. He's not going to be whispering through the cracks like, "Psst, let me in, please." He's just going to be waiting there, and you have to open the door. I think that visual is so sweet because Jesus doesn't force himself on us. He really respects us, but at the same time craves that we get to know him. And that concludes the topic for today's video. The next video that I upload will further elaborate on how to win the fight against porn. I was going to condense everything into this video, but I figured it would be way too long. So leave a comment below if there's anything that you want to say. And don't forget to leave a like if you found this video helpful. And I will see you very soon. Bye guys.